Cuttlefish are a highly derived group of mollusks in the class Cephalopoda. They sit within the superorder Decapodiformes in the order Sepia, comprising more than 120 species globally. The Australian Giant Cuttlefish is the largest cuttlefish species in the world, with mature individuals growing to a total length of 1.5 metres. Their morphology and biology are vital for their ecological role as diurnal mesopredators. The cuttlebone is a buoyancy regulator for cuttlefish. Made primarily out of aragonite, the structure is essentially an internalized shell. By controlling the concentration of salt ions of fluid inside the cuttlebone, the cuttlefish controls the fluid's osmotic pressure, which then controls the charge and discharge of fluid for buoyancy adjustment, allowing them to make precise movements when hunting or travelling. Cuttlefish use muscular fins on the sides of their mantle for basic mobility. These can maneuver the cuttlefish in nearly any direction and helps them maintain speeds efficiently. Cuttlefish are also able to jet along in fast bursts using the same mechanism they use for oxygen exchange. Contractions of the mantle or body muscles expand or contract the mantle cavity. Water is brought in through a valve above the head before the wall of the mantle contracts, pushing the water down past the pair of feather-like gills and out of the sphincter-like siphon, along with any waste from the rectum. This allows cuttlefish to produce a pressurized jet of water that allows for fast locomotion. Oxygen diffused from the water into the gills is absorbed into their version of blood, hemolymph. While vertebrates have iron-based oxygen transport cells called hemoglobin, which gives our blood its red colour, cuttlefish have copper-based cells called hemocyanin, and their hemolymph is therefore a blue-green colour. Cuttlefish have three hearts, two which pump deoxygenated hemolymph to the gills to be oxygenated, and one which pumps this oxygenated hemolymph to the rest of the body. Giant cuttlefish are generalist predators, using camouflage to stalk and ambush a variety of prey, using two elongated tentacles to grip prey and draw it into 8 shorter arms. The internal side of these appendages is coated with suckers. The attachment face, or infundibulum, of the suckers has a proteinaceous ring of teeth surrounding it for extra grip onto slimy prey. A chamber behind the infundibulum, the acetabulum, produces suction. The sucker is connected to the appendage by the peduncle. The cuttlefish then bites prey with a chitinous beak in the centre of their appendages, and venomous saliva assists in prey subjugation and digestion. This beak is also used to bite prey into manageable pieces, with a spiky tongue-like organ called the radula, grinding these chunks down further as they enter the esophagus. Upon reaching the stomach, involuntary peristaltic activity occurs, and this is where most of the digestion takes place. The esophagus and stomach are chitin-lined, with cuticular ridges from the stomach lining aiding the grinding of food and the enzymes from the digestive gland further breaking down food. Food is then transported to the liver for absorption before the waste is secreted from the rectum through the siphon. Cuttlefish have a variety of adaptations in and under their skin that facilitates their significant camouflaging ability, with 2 layers of skin cells devoted to colour changing. Chromatophores are cells filled with tiny sacs of red, orange, yellow, brown or black pigment, which they squeeze to change the brightness or colour displayed on their skin. Under these are iridophores, cells filled with hundreds of mirror-like reflector zones, which reflect light back up through the skin to brighten the colours if desired, and are responsible for adding shades of blue and green into their camouflage. Small bundles of muscle, called papillae, control the textures of the skin, with some running in circles and others radially. This allows areas of the skin to be quickly raised or smoothed. Cuttlefish have a hydrostatic skeleton based on internal water pressure, which allows them to increase the rigidity or length of their arms at will, while having no hard internal supports. While giant cuttlefish are the largest of their order, They are still vulnerable to attack by top-order predators due to their soft body and generally slow movement, making their defensive ink an essential adaptation. Ink is a chemical concoction mainly comprised of melanin. The ink gland itself is connected to the rectum, controlled by a sphincter-like gland, with the siphon organ creating mucus. When the cephalopod releases ink, it shoots through the rectum and out of the siphon, with the mucus created by this structure binding the ink and giving it a distinct cloud-shaped appearance, helping the cuttlefish intimidate, blind, or distract attackers. Cuttlefish are notable for having one of the largest brain-to-body ratios among invertebrates, with their central brain forming a ring around their esophagus. However, cuttlefish also have clusters of neurons that control each individual arm, acting as a sort of separate brain, which may even be able to learn on their own, separate from the primary brain. Cuttlefish gonads form a single mass at the posterior end of the mantle cavity. In males, the sperm is produced in the testes, which are then transferred to the ciliated funnel of the vas efferens to join a spermatophoric organ. While passing through this organ, the sperm form into a spiral mass and are coated with various enzymes to form the spermatophores or sperm packets. The vas efferens takes the fully mature spermophores and transfers them to the Needham sac, where they are stored until copulation. Females have one ovary, with the single oviduct having thin walls and glandular portions. The ova then pass into the oviduct, where they are stored until mating and laying. The cuttlefish ovary grows rapidly during sexual maturation. Due to the physical limitations on ovary capacity, all eggs will not reach maturity at the same time, and therefore are laid in different batches. During mating, the male uses a modified hectoconylized arm to transfer the spermatophores into the female's mouthparts, where it is stored until fertilization of the eggs. The female deposits her eggs in protected areas such as reef crevices. The eggs pass through an opaque glandular portion of the oviduct on the left side of the mantle during laying, where they are coated with a layer of egg jelly, the gelatinous material acting as a protective capsule. She then uses her arms to wipe the stored spermatophores onto each egg. Cuttlefish only live for 2 to 4 years and will die after reproducing. The last common ancestor between cuttlefish and human beings dates to around 600 million years ago. However, multiple features have evolved convergently, which link our biologies. We share the brain and heart, with a closed circulatory system and a form of blood to bring oxygen around the body. We share a digestive system with a mouth to break food down into smaller pieces, skin, muscle, and an endoskeleton of sorts. Cuttlefish also exhibit 2 sexes, male and female, as do we, with another similarity being that males are usually far larger than females, with social dominance being an important part of both our societies. We also share eyes, although convergently evolved, and very different in functionality, although we can both see colours to an extent. Unlike our round pupils and binocular vision made for observing objects from afar and accurately judging distances, cuttlefish have W-shaped horizontal pupils on the sides of their head. These horizontal pupils serve a twofold purpose. Since they live in shallow areas where there is often a lot of light in the upper portion of their line of sight and not in the lower portion, these horizontal pupils help to balance these uneven light intensities. They also increase visual range on the sides and rear of the animal, which is helpful for both spotting prey and potential predators. Cuttlefish may also use these W-shaped pupils to distinguish colour by comparing relative focus of the different light wavelengths on the retina. Since they experience an increased amount of chromatic blur from their wide pupils, This feature may explain how they are physically colourblind but still able to mimic their surroundings. We also share manipulative appendages used to grasp onto objects, and of course high intelligence. Cuttlefish are one of the most intelligent animals observed, likely being among the smartest invertebrates, being observed counting to 5 and having the restraint and forethought to resist mediocre value food items to get a high value treat, both of which is more than can be said for most human children. It is incredible that high intelligence has evolved convergently in this comparatively basal group of marine mollusks to an extent which puts many vertebrates to shame. My personal obsession with giant cuttlefish was fostered from a young age. I have always been an avid snorkeler and freediver, and saw my first giant cuttlefish at the age of 13. Since then, I have been a regular of the Cabbage Tree Bay giant cuttlefish mating grounds, and have been captivated in observing their feeding behaviour, battles for dominance, and extraordinary abilities, with plans to visit the Upper Spencer Gulf Marine Park to observe the largest mating aggregations of this species on the planet. These videos and photos are ones which I have personally recorded. Giant cuttlefish have immense value to humans as a beautiful seasonal visitor which symbolises the cycle of death and rebirth and the changing of the seasons. Furthermore, they are a vital tourist attraction to the areas they congregate in the breeding season. Raiding of their mating grounds by commercial fisheries greatly decreased their numbers from the 1966 to 1999 season, and they have still not recovered in many parts of their range, likely due to pollution, recreational fishing, and spearfishing. Indeed, the giant cuttlefish is unfortunately unprotected from spearfishers, although very similar in some aspects of their behaviour to the protected blue grouper, such as their boldness and curiosity of divers that makes them an easy target. This year alone, 3 breeding adults were harvested just outside the Cabbage Tree Bay Aquatic Reserve, resulting in a notable decrease in their numbers. I implore you to sign the petition I have linked below, which will make spearfishing for this species illegal in New South Wales, and allow myself and many others peace of mind when it comes to these remarkable animals.